Hi, folks. I just wanted to come on and answer a great question that my friend Alexis asked the other day. It's in relation to our true thoughts. How does one distinguish between the conditioned self, the thoughts from the collective consciousness, and how does one distinguish that from thoughts of the true self? So, the difference between thoughts from the collective versus thoughts from your true self. Well, the thoughts from the collective are superficial. They exist in the airwaves, they're floating around. And because we're natural receivers as human beings, we're natural channels, we're going to receive them whether we like it or not. The key is whether we allow them to simply flow through our consciousness, to release them, to ask for help, to see the truth in terms of the information being presented. If we're watching the news, if we're reading a book, we want to have a certain level of discernment. And when those collective thoughts reach us, the only way they're going to go deep is if they connect in with our heart. If we have a wound in our emotional body, if we're carrying a soul wound, any place where emotionally in the heart we're wounded from an experience in the past, if that wound resonates with the collective thought that's coming in, if it resonates with the thought from the collective, then it's going to start vibrating and it's going to be very uncomfortable. So if you've got an uncomfortable thought coming through, chances are it's partly one's own personal development that needs attending to, but also just realize it is superficial. It's coming through the superficial self. Excuse me. The only time, the time when the collective thought would be in resonance with the true thought, that is, the collective consciousness is in resonance with the true self, would be in times when there is a collective container of spiritual upliftment. If you're going to a festival, if you're going to a music festival, if you're going to a spiritual gathering, if you're going to a church, somewhere where there is a container of like-minded people who their collective is purified, their collective psyche has attained a certain level of purification, and there is purity to the thought that they're bringing through, then that is pure thought. And pure thought resonates with the true self. What is the true self? Well, the truth of who you are, it's very simple. It's deep. It's in the deep mind. Because at the deepest level of being, we are all one. And we are all connected through the infinity of love. We come from God, that is primal source, the oneness, the love, the infinite light that exists beyond time and space. And in a sense, it's kind of like a donut. And we fell through this donut into the universe and incarnated and began a journey where we exist, have existed, do exist, are existing in time and space. We always have that thread back to the source of oneness. We always have that thread back to God, to love, to the infinite light that lies within. And when we realize that, we understand that thought that is resonant, thought that is in harmony with that reality, with that awareness that we are love, that we are one with God, that we are one with all things, that unity consciousness underlies all matter, that we are all connected, that is a thought that bridges us to the awareness of the truth of who we are. So if we're existing in any environment, any circumstances, any collective container where the thought is uplifted and is in resonance with that truth, it could be a yoga retreat. It could be a potluck gathering. It could be a family reunion. It could be a declaration, a patriotic declaration. If that declaration, if that reunion, if that gathering is built on the values of oneness with all things, oneness with all people, with the values of unity, brotherhood, love, justice, mercy, compassion, kindness, all those things that combine to facilitate the awareness and the recognition of our oneness, of unity consciousness, then that is the truth of who we are. That is a thought that runs through the deep mind. So just know it's really a struggle, a competition between the superficial mind and the deep mind. When we say the collective consciousness, normally what I think of is it being the world currently, and this has been for quite some time, for all of human history, is not at the level of oneness. It is not at the level of recognition of the essential nature. It doesn't recognize the oneness with all things. The recognition of the oneness of all things is a biological fact, and it is the essence of sustainability. It is the recognition of biodiversity, habitat ecology, the awareness that everything exists in a perfect system. It's only when we separate off in our consciousness through our attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, that we put up a wall between us and all of creation. It is when we come back to the oneness of our life in God, which is to say the oneness with all things in nature. When we recognize that, we come home to our true self. And when we allow ourselves to drop down into the essence of ourselves in nature, maybe on your work break, in silence, connecting to your breath, asking, imploring, asking for help from the higher realm, asking them to show you, using one's willingness. If we want to really receive from our own true self, then we have to have the willingness to do that. We have to have the willingness to ask, please show me, please allow me to receive from my true self. Then it isn't so much about discernment, although that is possible and very important. It is in any moment the question of, are we connected? Are we connected in? And it comes through our easiest willingness, our our intention, and our attention. When our attention is on our deep self, our true self, receiving from that, being aware of that, creating a protective barrier around ourselves so that we can receive, listening to the breath, walking in nature, giving ourselves the time to tune out, shut off from the collective and to go within. And also joining groups, being with people where we're called to do so, where we are called to be in uplifting group energies. To understand that if there's a medicine out there that we need, that it is there for us and the collective holds that medicine. It is through other people that we heal. That doesn't mean we have to be an open book or opening our door to everyone. In our hearts, yes. In our public policy, yes. But it means being very aware of the collective consciousness and how it can drag us down. But more important is knowing the truth of who we are, knowing the truth of why we're here, and realizing that at any moment we're guided through our true thought Our true thought is our deep thought. It comes from the deep mind. It comes from our deep self. It comes from a deep deep place, a deep place of faith. And it is resonant with eternity. It is something that sticks. It's something that stays. If you have a deep thought, it's something that is eternal. And I'm just not meaning in an esoteric sense. I'm meaning it'll keep following you. It'll keep knocking on your door. It will keep saying, it's time to smile. It's time to have joy. It's time to be loving. It's time to be kind. There's a certain level of enchanted bliss that we all dream of, that we are all called to, but yet the world tells us that we can't be blissful, that we won't be blissful, that life is about struggle, pain, survival, suffering. Those are all the base chakra issues. When we come up to the heart and up to the crown, that's when we're receiving not from the lowest common denominator, which too often is the collective consciousness, wanting to drag us down. Not because it's in any way personally out to get us, out to get you. It's just that it has an agenda that it's the constricted self, personified on a mass scale. It's the constricted self that exists within all of us. The constricted self that doesn't want you to expand, doesn't want you to be extraordinary. And your extraordinary self comes from your true self, your deep self. And that is your abiding nature. That is who you are on a deep level. And the thoughts that come through from that level are strong, they're powerful. You feel them. It's like a wave of energy, and it's pure. It's a purity because it contains bliss. Those thoughts are blissful because not only are they in resonance with the root chakra, our grounded self, they're in resonance with the heart chakra, our oneness, and our crown chakra, the chakra that opens up to the universe. They are our whole self. They come from our whole self.